I'm always glowing. Hello, Gemsies. Welcome back to another video. It's happy new month. Happy November. It's my birthday month. I'm so excited. And I wanted to dedicate this whole month to Bay Kevin Samuels because, as you read from the title, he got me married in under a year. So from the time we met till the time we got married was under a year, which we're going on 3 months on my birthday. So you can do the math. I don't even know where to start. I'm getting a migraine already because I'm smiling so hard. There isn't going to be much of a structure to this video, but once I've done my monologue, as Kevin would do, I was going to do a review of a video that popped up on my feed by Stefan. I do love Stefan's page, to be fair, his channel. I love how he articulates his message. There's a fair balance for both genders. There's always something that you can get from his content. And that's what I believe anyway. And he's a believer, I am as well. So yeah, his message does resonate with me. So even though it's not a Kevin Samuels reaction or a review, don't worry, this whole month will be full of that. I found that as I listened to the beginning, a lot of the things I wanted to speak to ladies about, I could tell that that's where he was going to go with his message. And I wanted us to do it together because, as you can read from the borders, we are building a generation of marriageable women. And I am a divorcee. Like if you're new here, I've got a video titled Lessons from an Ex-Wife. So I have been a wife before and we do have a son. He just turned 4. So it has been a long journey. I'm glad that we got here. But and I would say the main focus was intentionality. That was one of the main things I got from Kevin all the time when he drummed in, the danger zone, focus like a laser on the outcomes that you say you want. He always used to say that. And I was like, how do I do that? Babe, tell me. And the reason why I just loved his content so much was because when I came out from my divorce, I was hearing all sorts of messages from female content creators. And because I think I just lived under a rock, being sheltered from the world, so to speak, being a pastor's daughter, and quite traditional in the sense that, or should I say cultural, from a Ghanaian background, it was very like churchy. You don't really go on dates and stuff like that. So I was never a dater. I've never been on a date like that. Anytime I've been on a date, I'm already in a relationship, and I thought, like, you know what? I don't like wasting people's time. I don't like my time being wasted. So it was never a bad thing for me. But I do get it when people want to date, fine. I would probably advocate towards courtship. At least there's an end goal in sight. Anyway, when I came out of my divorce, one of the things I was confused about was I thought I did my best. Actually, I did do my best. And my best, I wanted to understand why my best was not enough. I was just confused. So my brain needed to understand if my best was not appreciated by the person I picked, or my best was never good anyway. Okay, so I wanted to approach it objectively. So when I listened to content creators, the message that I kept hearing was, when you're soft, you'll be taken advantage of. If you submit, you'll be like a doormat. And these are some of the things I felt in my previous marriage. I felt taken advantage of, and all of these things were resonating, and they were highlighting all the red flags that were in my ex-partner. So I thought, okay, then tell me, how do I become this woman who, doesn't get taken advantage of? And the message that was being pushed wasn't something that I could do. it meant like I didn't need to be too friendly, like it was just very aggressive for me. Maybe I landed on the wrong pages, I don't know. But at that time, I was a sponge and I was just trying to understand what the hell I just came out from. So in my head, I was just thinking, okay, so don't ask what the man is thinking or what he needs, because if you give him what he needs, he's just going to shit. He's just going to throw it back at you, because that's technically what happened. When something does bother you, don't bring it up to his attention, because if he was the right one, he would know how to, work with you or how to handle it. You wouldn't have to say it, and he would just, know exactly what you're thinking. So in my head, I was like, okay, it's because I didn't pick the right one. That's why he didn't know how to read my mind. Okay, so don't verbalize your wants and needs, because if they're the one, they will know. Okay. So I was just thinking to myself, how do I do this? This is just going against everything I know. I'm open and honest, like, hey, babe, these are my needs. These are my wants. This is what happened that I didn't quite like. I just wanted to understand maybe why you did it that way, just so that I can better understand you. Apparently, don't do that, because you're going to take advantage. You're going to be taken advantage of, and that's what happened to me. So I just felt like, okay, how do I become a tough woman who doesn't get shadadadans on? So whilst I was on this quest, if you see some of my previous videos, it was just regurgitating a lot of the talking points I heard, about red flags. My main aim was red flags and emotional manipulation, because that time I'd gone through therapy and understood that, okay, so it's not necessarily that what you were doing was wrong per se. It's just the person just didn't have the capacity to meet you. So the qualities are great, but it's just in that setting, it just became a breeding ground for toxicity. So if you take people pleasing and codependency, where you're constantly doing things for your partner and self-sacrificing and betraying yourself, because the person you've picked doesn't know how to reciprocate or doesn't want to reciprocate, you are always depleted. It doesn't mean don't be caring and all of those good stuff. Be those things, but what you did need was standards and boundaries. When you are in a healthy and secure relationship or marriage, there is that reciprocity. You can be open with these things and you will be met with a healthier response. Okay. So whilst I was on my merry old way, I wanted to know that when I was ready to be married again, because I knew that I wanted to get married again, I just wanted to know what I needed to be doing, So I think I came across Kevin. It was just before the pandemic, I believe. So it was 2019, ending of 2019. That's when my younger brother introduced Kevin Samuels to me. And it was obviously through the Average at Best video. And I've got a whole video on my review or, my first thoughts or my first impressions of Kevin. I'm going to link it down in the comments and up in the cards as well. So that's when I was like, oh, there's a space for men. Men are speaking. For me, I never used to really hear men speak openly, like in public places. If you went to the barber shop, like I've got two brothers, and my brother used to be in the barber shop because he was a barber. He'd barber as well, or he's barb. It's not a word. And so I had a glimpse into what men were saying, like when they were in enclosed spaces. I don't know. And I wasn't there to listen to what they were saying. But this time around, it was like they are on public platforms speaking openly about what they're thinking, what they want. For me, it was revolutionary. I was like, they're giving us the cheat code, people. But at the same time, I was like, okay, let me go see what this man is about. So that's when I started to consume his content, and it opened doors for, Poor Man Podcast, Mediocre Tutorials, and all the other amazing people. Stefan Speaks is one of them. And I came across Tony Gaskin. Stefan Speaks, yeah. I actually bought his book. I think is it God Where's My Boaz? one of his very old books. And I never read it. I never got around to reading it. Had I read it, I wouldn't have picked a bozo, because I think it was like Boaz or bozo. But yeah, so it's so funny. So I really appreciated that men were opening up, not even opening up, men were, biting the bullet, coming out, showing their faces, saying exactly what they were thinking and exactly what they wanted, unapologetically. And I loved it. I found it so attractive, because the last thing I wanted to do is decipher what you're thinking, because most of the time I want to know what you're thinking so I can better help. I noticed that anytime I wanted people to open up, they would, but at the same time, they wanted me to also jump through hoops. Again, that's probably the people that I picked. So anyway, I 100% appreciated that this platform was there, this opportunity was there, and I just approached it, openly. I wanted to know what they were thinking. I wanted to know what to do. So I would say that's when I started delving a little bit deeper into Kevin's content, to the point where it was like, you clear your diary, get your popcorn, get your thing, and go sit on the sofa and watch his 3-hour lives. And I'm not ashamed. I just loved it so much. There was just so much knowledge in there. And the light bulb moment, or something that I found very insightful, were the people who came on his show, the women. Had it not been Kevin's show, I always say this, had it not been Kevin's platform, I didn't know this is how women were moving. I thought women actually liked men, but for the most part, they said they liked healthy men, but in actual fact, there was so much cognitive dissonance going on. They say one thing, but the way they move was totally different. So as I was watching Kevin, and he was just saying, no, men want you to be fit. Men want you to be friendly. Men want you to smile. Men want you to be cooperative. Men want you to, say your wants and needs so that they don't have to read your mind. I was like, so where's the disconnect? Why is the message saying this? And why are the men saying that? So I changed my content from highlighting the men that we didn't want, and I wanted us to focus on the men that we did want, okay? Because they're there and they're doing the work, Because if we're constantly talking about the men we don't want, why are we even talking about that? We can highlight what to look out for, or to avoid, sorry. But I think the conversation should be towards what we should be looking for, the green flags, and how that can shine a lot of inadequacies on us, some light, and how that can shine a light on our own inadequacies or insufficiencies, Because I know deep down, I don't know where I developed the feeling of not deserving, and I use that lightly, a good man or a good relationship. Why did I have to, work so hard in order to prove my love to someone? Why did I always have to perform? And it's because growing up as a pastor's daughter, and a very strict dad, very loving and assertive, I love my dad so much. But at the same time, when everything is just so strict, very disciplined, You learn to people please. I learned that at a very young age, that you put other people's needs before you, because that is true selflessness, But then without developing my true self, without developing my standards, my values, my boundaries, you just become a breeding ground for resentment and bitterness, Those things are great, sowing into other people, being other people's peace, but not when you've betrayed yourself at the cost of all that, So I had to unlearn all of these things, and then couple it with what Kevin was telling me about focusing like a laser on the outcomes that I said I want, and going for what I wanted. And that meant speaking to men. I didn't have a problem speaking to men, but I realized that men had changed from when I got married, 2017, So now I needed to bring myself back into the dating market to see how men are now, and if men's requirements, their wants, their needs aligned with what Kevin was saying. This is what I did. So I took myself to dating apps. I'd never done that before. It was so interesting. But I called that the data gathering stage. And this was after about 2.5 years after my divorce. So the first 2.5 years was just trying to make sense of everything that happened. Obviously, I'm still a single mother, trying to, get a job, get on my feet, all of that, go to therapy, understand where I went wrong, how I participated in the suffering, because I just didn't want to pick the same person, with a different name and a different face, So I wanted to do all of that and still embody wifely qualities so that I could be picked by a healthy man. That's what I wanted to do. So that's what my focus was in the first 2.5 years. And then after that, obviously, that's when, I was trying to practice what Kevin was saying. At first, it was a bit scary, the online aspect, because I do well in one-to-one. When I'm with you, my charisma, the way, my demeanor, my aura, I'm jovial. I know how to flirt in a healthy way. I didn't have a problem, but I needed to learn how to speak without someone seeing me, if that makes sense. So digitally, I wanted to learn that as well, because I find that with that, we learn a lot about what's in people's heads. So that's when I got onto dating apps, and boy, this is when my fear of, is it fear of rejection? It's not even, that's when I realized, I actually don't do well being rejected. And that's when it made me realize, okay, so I did have anxious attachment, when people are rejecting me based off of, being a single mother, being a divorcee, or not being the look that they wanted. So I was like, okay, this is a good thing. This is a good thing, Jay. Just because they're rejecting you doesn't mean that, it's all doom and gloom. Why are they rejecting you? Are they things that you can change? That's how my brain works, okay? So being a single mother, that's not something I can change. Everything else I can change, Everything else, what was it? Okay, the things that they wanted me to change mainly was my requirements. It was funny because my younger brother said, you're not going to find your man on a dating app. And the reason why he said that, my 4 requirements, they needed to be black. They needed to be Ghanaian. They needed to be Ashanti. And the last one is our blood type. We needed to be compatible because I do have a sickle cell trait. So those are the 4 things. And then it's like, how do you date having these requirements? How do you articulate your intentions, like what you're looking out for on the dating app, like when someone actually does match with you, how do you have that conversation to bring it to these 4 things? Obviously not right there and there, but just because for me, I didn't want to just date for dating purposes. I just wanted to cut to the chase and then go for, the marriage was the end goal. Not this, let's go out for drinks. Let's do, no. I'm quite backward. I know not a lot of people do it that way, but for me, I was like, okay, let's just forget about these 4 for now, because it's not like I'm going to find my man online. I'm also not going to go on dates per se, unless the person, we've had conversations and they are close to the 4, to see if I can relax on some of those things. So I think I spoke to a couple of people. Most of them rejected me because I was a single mother. And that was one of the things I enjoyed the most about Kevin's content, when he made me understand from a man's perspective, being being a stepfather. Okay, I needed to hear that from a man. I didn't need to hear it from a woman who doesn't want to allow the man to take care of his kids. Okay, I didn't want to hear it from bitter women. I wanted to hear it from a man who'd been a stepfather before. And, none of them had good things to say about it. Some of them did, but they don't share most of their, the positives. The negatives is what I wanted to know. How is it? what was some of the challenges you faced? Most of it was couldn't discipline the child the way they wanted to. The child always came first before them, and it was like the baby daddy drama and all of, he named all of these things. Or the woman didn't want to be in shape. You never knew how, if the woman was going to be reckless again. So I was just thinking to myself, okay, so this is the mindset they have when they're coming in as a step parent. Okay, so what can I do so they do not feel that way, or it doesn't have to come to that? And some of the things I could do is let them know the relationship that I have with the father of my son, or our son, and it's non-existent. So that was tick. It's non-existent because it's the choice. It's been 4 years not seen him, and he hasn't seen his son. So it was like, okay, tick. The second one was, how they look. My husband, when he first saw my photo, had they not disclosed that I was a mother, he did not know. Why? Because I'm a gym rat. You don't have to tell me to go. I would just go gym, and I tried to eat as healthy as possible, and I walk a lot. Even when I was pregnant, I didn't look pregnant, So that's something I pride myself in. And that was one of the qualities that made him love me even more, because he's a gym freak as well, and had met lots of women who weren't, didn't really care about working out, living a healthy life. And for the most part, they were like trying to shut him down from going to like working out. And for me, I egg him on and he eggs me on. So it's like, love it. But anyway, I took it upon myself that if and when, not even if, it was a when I met someone, I will go above and beyond to make them understand that I appreciate them. I will show them that I appreciate them with everything that they did. And that was me anyway, but I made sure that I did more of it, or I communicated more of it, because I knew the current climate, or because I kind of had an insight into their mentality. So it's funny, because sometimes when I'm appreciating my husband, he's like, oh, that's just nothing. It's not even something I thought about. I'm like, I'm still going to appreciate you anyway, because you don't know where I've been. But anyway, I am rambling. So I focus like a laser on the outcomes that I want. So in 2021, I was dating, and then I got off the dating apps because I was like, it was getting a bit too toxic for me, not being swiped. And then once you're having the conversation, you get shut down because you're a single mother. I was like, okay, I've gathered enough data here, I can move into the real world. So I put myself out there, and I made sure that I stayed in the settings where I could find someone who was Ghanaian and join my same denomination. And they were SDA. Oh no, it was Ghanaian. Sorry, my full was Ghanaian, Ashanti, SDA as a Seventh-day Adventist, and then the blood type needed to be the same, not black. I'm so sorry, because black is Ghanaian. Ugh, I do apologize. So yeah, I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, so that was the time I told my bestie that, hey, I need you to find me men in Ghana, because that's the only way you find a Ghanaian, so that I can just tick that one off the box. I'm looking out for Ghanaians here. I told some of my cousins in London, I was like, look, these are the things that I'm looking for. Once they tick those things, that's when I even speak to them to then find out the character, their character, and then we can both get to know each other. But if you want those things, I wasn't going to entertain the conversation anyway, or just go for a free meal. It's like, what's the point to then just say, oh, I'm only looking for X, Y, and Z. I just don't move like that. I don't want to go out on a date just because I know you'll like me. I'm a likable person. But then I wouldn't want to have to reject you. And that's not being braggadocious. I just know my sauce. I say in the most humblest way, I get on with people very well. And no matter, how old you are or what you do. I get on the janitor, the cleaner, as well as the CEO. I love that. I guess it's the interpersonal skills there. Anywho, got on a tangent there again. Yes. So my friend, she started to bring men, speaking to them and getting to know them. It's just like, okay, now I was learning how to articulate my wants and my needs in a healthy way, and seeing how that was received by a healthy person. I wanted to see how healthy men also communicated, because I would say I hadn't really picked a healthy man prior, getting married. So I wanted to see the qualities I needed to have to be in a healthy relationship, or a secure relationship, as in the secure attachment. That's what I mean. So I use that to practice, get to know them. And when I wasn't feeling it, how to articulate or communicate rejection to them, like it's just not working, how I would say it so it didn't come across as rude, so you're still honoring and respecting them for their time. It's just that we can't go forward. And it was always really tough, because I think that's why I don't like to date, because I know my qualities and I know that we can easily get attached. And it's not even about sex, we can easily get attached. And then at the back of my mind, I know that we're not going to the same place. And then it's like, we got to cut it off. I don't just want to string you along, So anyway, talking. And I might have to do a whole video about how I met my husband and the qualities that he loves in me, Yeah, because I find that this video is going to be hell long, and it's going to be nursery run time very soon. I think we should just dive into this video review. Yeah, because this video, I'm so sorry, it's been all over the place. Hopefully you got something. I'm just having a chat here. This isn't one of those structured videos, but maybe this part, the second part of the video, will be quite structured. So let's just jump into that. Boy, if you've enjoyed the video and you like these kind of chit chats where I go on a rant, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and come join the family. Let's build the generation of marriageable women. I know I've talked a whole load of fluff. Yeah, but hopefully you got something there. Let's go. I'm putting my educational hat on, the teacher hat, and let's see what we can learn.
A masculine man desires a feminine woman. And the reality is that a lot of you ladies desire a masculine man. Now, some of you might be feeling like, well, there ain't that many going around anymore. That's a whole other discussion. But the fact remains that you, as a woman, many of you are typically drawn to more masculine men. Mm-hmm. But part of the struggle in attracting that masculine man is answering the question, are you exuding your feminine energy? Are you leading with the energy that's going to draw to you the things that you desire and want in your life? And not just in the sense of that masculine man, but the overall quality of your life.
Right.
Because femininity, again, is your power. It is your superpower. It is that thing that once you...
Oh, sorry to cut it so soon. That's what I needed to add in there. So after I'd delved into the other side of YouTube, highlighting the red flags and this, that, and other, and how I needed to be this like rock hard and disrespectful woman in order not to be shoulda-didn'ts on, that's when I stumbled upon femininity, the word femininity. I did not know what that was. I didn't know what the word was, although I embodied those qualities. So when I came across channels, I've got a whole video, and I think one of the main ones was Chloe. Although she doesn't really teach femininity per se, she was the segue or the bridge between the highlighting the red flags and also sticking on women to, do what they needed to do. It was great. I loved it. And then I went into actual homemakers who were like femininity, who were basking in their feminine energy. And I was like, oh, okay, how do I fine tune these qualities that, were there, but then I just need to bring it out in a way that I'm not taken advantage of, if that makes sense, Yeah. Like, how do I carefully and gently articulate my boundaries so I'm honoring myself, but also honoring my partner, my husband? I really wanted to understand that. And I found that feminine channels or femininity channels really helped me. So yeah, I love that he mentioned that here. Most of the time, we say we want the masculine man, but in actual fact, we don't know how to be feminine. So we will constantly be picking feminine men because we lack the femininity ourselves. So the masculine man is there. He's just going to walk past us, okay? Because we don't exude, as he was saying, feminine qualities, or we don't know how to exude those qualities,
You unlock it, you are going to see things get so much better. So I'm going to break down for you some of the feminine qualities and traits that men love in women. But again, understand that it's not just for them, it's for you. Now, before I begin, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel.
It's good, like it.
Watch all my other videos. But number one on this list is being open and receptive. So what do I mean by that? When you are a woman walking in your feminine energy, you are open to love. You are able to receive compliments. You are able to allow a man to do for you. And that's a huge, important point, because so many women, so many of you struggle right now with letting a man do for you. And you don't understand how that doesn't exude femininity.
Oh God, this takes me back to people pleasing and codependency. I didn't know what these things were. That's why I always say, ladies, healing is so necessary. Therapy is so necessary. When I understood that this is where I was coming from, betraying yourself doesn't show that you care. That just means you're operating from a depleted place. Actually honoring yourself makes you even more like attractive to a man, and being able to say, do you know what? I have earned this, it's okay. It's great for someone to also reciprocate healthy love to me. It's a good thing to be able to receive. But because I was operating from all these, like act small or be small in order to maintain peace, all of these things weren't helping me. I didn't know I was doing it at that time. That's why I always say therapy is good. But then when you are comfortable, when you come to the point where you've accepted and acknowledged who you are, and you know that you're working on yourself, and you know that the qualities that you have are great, then you know how to give all of yourself to someone else without borders, with boundaries, but without borders, because you know that even when you feel backed against the wall, you know what to say, you know how to put healthy boundaries in place so that you're not always going to the camp where you don't want to be, if that makes sense. Like,
with letting a man do for you, and you don't understand how that doesn't exude femininity.
Oh my God, I think I'm going to end up stopping this video so much because there's just so much revelations. Because I'd never learned how to honor my wants and my needs. Growing up, I was always looking after other people. When a man was reciprocating healthy love to me, complimenting me, giving me healthy love, I saw that as I didn't deserve it, or always because they don't know who I really am. They don't know that I'm actually a flawed human being. I have my shortcomings. For some reason, I had that in me all the time. But when I realized it's because growing up, I was always the helper, the performer. I never could rest. No one was really asking me, like, what do you need? It's like I was the one always asking those things. So when someone was actually trying to pour into me, it was like, oh no, I don't need it. But in actual fact, I really did, just because I just didn't really know how to listen to myself. So I know, like with my husband, oh my, it feels so amazing being loved by a healthy, masculine, yet so compassionate and gentle man. Sometimes I ask myself, why did I think I couldn't go for this all along? Obviously, I know the answer. The answer is because we're always performing and we always want to do in order to be rewarded with crumbs. But in actual fact, it's good to do, but it's also amazing to receive. You know, I want us to get that into our heads. Those who are recovering from people pleasing and codependency, yeah.
All right? Being too caught up in your independence, being too walled up, because the reality is that letting him do for you requires you to be vulnerable. And many of you fear that vulnerability. You not only fear that vulnerability, hell, you may even fear femininity as a whole, because to you, femininity may equate to weakness. Femininity equates to, that's what got me hurt in the past.
Right.
And so now you think by having that wall up, by I'll take care of it myself, by not having to rely on no man, I emotionally protect myself from being hurt and let down. But in actuality,
it keeps you
more damage. You add more stress to your life, and you don't allow your feminine energy to come out of you, which it not only repels the kind of man you want, that masculine man, it draws in the man who will put the burden on your back, who will leech off of you, who doesn't mind you being the.
Yeah, we become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We say we don't want these things. You know, we don't want the man to burden us with, you know, we want to rest in that. We want to be soft. We want to be taken care of. But at the same time, because we're operating from fear, we have these walls up that doesn't allow anyone in and doesn't allow us out either, you know? And at the same time, it's like, I think, cognitive dissonance. We say we want one thing, but what we're doing, our actions, our fears, is doing otherwise, or is making us do otherwise, or is directing and dictating our next steps. Ladies, please, let's get therapy. I tell you, this side of the camp, so beautiful, and I want it for everyone. That's why I did Gem Z. It's actually a combination of my name and his, Gem and Zaro. Hello, Zaro. So Gen Z, a generation of marriageable women, you know, it's amazing to learn the balance, you know, interdependence. I'm self-sufficient. I'm a self-starter. I have that can-do spirit. I'm ambitious. I'm assertive. But I also know how to, you know, it's like a jigsaw. You know how to flow when the man is coming. It's too early for this, Jemima. Get your mind out of the car. Guys, I miss my husband because we're still in a long distance at the moment. He's in Ghana, I'm here. So he's just waiting for all the application to go through. So I miss him tremendously, and I know he's watching. Hello, baby. Anyway, let's just keep going. Let's go.
One carrying all the stress and being overwhelmed, because those men don't walk in their masculine energy. Now, I don't want to get too far off the point here. Let's get back to being open and receptive. That is a quality that the masculine man loves to see in a woman, because you have to also understand that giving to you, providing for you is something that a masculine man wants to do.
Oh, this is so beautiful, because I don't know, like, I think there was a time I did a live stream with Chantel, and I think the word she picked up was feminism. But in my head, the reason why I didn't feel like a man needed to provide for me emotionally and financially and all of that, the reason wasn't because I thought I was an equal to the man. No, it was really because I just felt like, why would he want to provide for me when I'm not perfect? You know, I want to show you that you're amazing and I want to love you. It's like I was chasing, it's like I'm chasing this kind of approval from a man, maybe because I constantly was performing as a pastor's daughter for my dad's approval. So when I picked men, it was mainly because I wanted to show them, hey, look, I can be all these amazing things, all the qualities you want in a wife. I can be those things and you don't have to do anything. That was literally it. It's not because I'm trying to be on par with the man. No. Yeah. So anytime my dad would reciprocate healthy communication to me, healthy love to me, my brain didn't piece together that is because it's his responsibility as a man. I just took it as, well, he's got to do that because he's my dad, So I think when it came to the qualities of what a healthy man needed to do, I had that, it was just very gappy for me. I just assumed that as a father, you need to be doing these things, But I just thought but as a husband, for me, I needed to do. My mum was a doer, very hardworking, and an amazing wife to my dad. And I saw my dad pour into her, but I don't know. In my head, I just thought maybe all men already know how to do these things. I don't know. It was just very, the gaps in the knowledge did not help me. Too naive about it, because I just thought you could love people into a new being, but we're not Jesus Christ. Being married or marriage isn't a charity, you also need to be poured back into. Oh boy, looking back at all these things, I know when I had the realization how my people pleasing developed, I had to have a really head-on chat with my dad, because I said it's because in the church or growing up as a pastor's daughter, there are times where you haven't helped me to require the other person to also pour back into me. You've always placed that responsibility on me, making sure that everything was, in harmony. So I'm great at that, de-escalating and all of that. I'm great. And I'm happy that I have those qualities. But the downside was I lacked boundaries. I lacked looking out for myself. It's who's looking out for me? So I was like, do you know what? I don't resent you. I'm not bitter towards you. But this is the realization that I've gotten. So what I won't be doing is kissing people's asses when they're not doing the right thing, even when they're in the church. I will stick it on them because there's this amazing word called accountability that was foreign to me. Because a lot of people weren't taking accountability. So I was taking all the responsibility of a lot of things that was never my fault to begin with, And I think a lot of women walk around in life with all these responsibilities on their shoulders and betraying themselves throughout the whole ordeal, and it doesn't help you. It just makes you pick people that you're constantly having to perform for, But yeah, let's keep going.
And when you're not able to receive that, you essentially kill his ability to pour love, to pour desire, to feel good about what he also brings to the table.
Sorry, that's what I was meant to say. Learning how to receive and be open really made my husband love me even more, because I remember when I met him for the first time, at no point in time did I have to pay for anything. Did I have to go above and beyond? And no, it was so lovely. It was very foreign for me because I've constantly been doing stuff. And I think because I'd never dated properly, I just never knew this other side. He'd open doors for me. He introduced me to something called a forehead kiss. Oh, which I want one right now. He's muscly and he's always come and sleep in Abraham's bosom. Abraham's bosom. It's just so beautiful for a man to say, hey, come lay your head on my lap or on my chest. And I'm like, okay, In the past, it would be like, yeah, I love that you're taking care of me, but I want to take care of you too, so that you know that I'm worthy, or I'm of value, or I have some value. Because I just felt I tied all of my worth to what I was doing, not necessarily to who I was and what I was being. When you're able to separate the two, you still do, but you also know your worth in just being. It's absolutely beautiful. So when they're pouring into you, you're able to receive it, ladies. It's so beautiful. That's what I'm trying to get you ladies too. And therapy is the first place, and then having these kind of conversations as well.
To your life, because whether we want to accept it or not, everyone wants to feel needed and valued in a relationship. They want to feel needed and valued by that person they take interest in. And by not allowing him to pour into you in this way because you are not receptive, you kill that. You chunk the life out of it. And again, you set yourself on the path to receive the type of men who will train you, rather than the men who will fill your cup and uplift you and take those burdens off your back.
Yeah.
So embrace being more receptive. And it's not just being receptive to, again, him doing for you. It's being receptive to a man giving you a compliment.
Yeah.
It's being receptive to love in general.
Yeah.
Open to it. Many of you say you want love, but you're scared as hell.
Yeah.
You are running for the hills when you see true love come your way, because again,
the vulnerability.
That love requires vulnerability.
And I think the powerhouse of vulnerability is boundaries, ladies. When I learned this, it was a game changer for me. I'm super vulnerable, but I also know how to put those boundaries in place in those areas where I know I'm about to tip over into resentment, tip over into self-betrayal, just so that I can, like, all the time be at peace, be at harmony with myself, So couple vulnerability with your boundaries, and that starts from learning about yourself. So it's not the soft life this, soft life that. No, it's just sitting with uncomfortable emotions and trying to peel back why you're feeling the way you're feeling, and then asking yourself what may have triggered it, doing that unpacking. So that at the core of the vulnerability, when you're showing vulnerability, it's not about blaming, but it's about saying, hey, I felt upset when this and that took place. It triggered X and Y in me. I would really appreciate it, or I would really love for you to do X and Y next time. Is that something you have capacity to do? That's a boundary mixed in there, but in a very gentle way. And then your husband or your partner will say, okay, I didn't realize that it did X, Y, and Z. Okay, if I do it like this, would that be better? And then you're able to say, yeah, actually, that would be better. And so let's try it out. Having those conversations, you've been vulnerable, and you've also articulated your boundaries, and you've also maintained peace. Your husband doesn't feel like you're being defensive or you're being passive aggressive, like he has to read your mind. You've been able to sit with your uncomfortable emotions and really gotten to the core of what it is that triggered you. Maybe it's because you were feeling unloved in those moments. Maybe you were feeling like ugly in those moments. Saying all those things so that your husband can also not necessarily go into defensive mode, but can just say, I didn't realize this is how it came across. Because I always say this, different people trigger us differently, and in marriages, in relationship, you will be squeezed, things that were already in you will be squeezed out. Is when it comes out, how you deal with those things, how you handle it. That's what shows true maturity, So yeah, let's keep going.
So let me add this. If you are struggling in this area, it starts with you healing. I mean, hell, to unlock your feminine energy as a whole, you've got to embrace healing. It is what is truly necessary in this process. And again,
and I know, like, when we say healing, I'm going on my healing journey. It's not fun. It's ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. Even the moments when you feel like you have it all figured out, ups and downs, ups. It's a journey. It's a lifestyle. And it all starts from how we self-soothe, how we self-regulate our very big and small emotions, and taking responsibility and accountability of things that are happening in our lives, and also learning how to articulate our wants and our needs, in a healthy way. How do we communicate those things? All of those things is what healing is about. Healing isn't being detached from what it is that happened to you in the past, or being away in terms of proximity from what it is that happened in the past. No, all those traumas, all those things are still trapped in your nervous system, just waiting to explode when the next person triggers you. Okay? Healing is that what I've just broken down. It's a day-to-day decision to say, do you know what? How do I remain at peace in these moments of overwhelming emotions? I mean, that's the question I ask myself, because I want my default to always be pleasant. I want my default to always be calming. I want my default to always be like full of joy and peace. So when I'm feeling big emotions like anger, disappointment, betrayal, how do I bring those thoughts into captivity? Hello, somebody. How do I just, to get to the core of what it is I'm feeling in those moments? And most of the time, I'm just feeling maybe used, or this is not in terms of my husband, just generally, I'm talking about healing in general. Maybe I'm feeling taken advantage of, maybe at work, or my friends, or acquaintances, or at church. A lot of things happen at church. Gosh, Jesus Christ, help us. When you're feeling all these things, that's when you're like, okay, when they did X, Y, and Z, this is how I felt. Okay, I don't want to feel like this. So how do I get from here to here? Okay, so I need a boundary here. So the minute I start feeling something bubbling in, this is when I need to articulate my boundaries and say, okay, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me. If you continue speaking like that to me, I would need to bid you adieu. So that once you have calmed down, we can reconvene this conversation. You say it in a very pleasant and calming tone. That way you haven't had to explode in order to get your point across. And you have helped them, you have empowered them to also muster the self-control and discipline, to reconvene when they're calm. This is what we do. We do not enable. I was an enabler when I was in my codependence and in my people-pleasing stage. I'll not do that again. No, it doesn't help anybody. But yeah, let's keep going.
I want you to understand, healing, unlocking your femininity, it's not just about the men. I feel like I have to stress that point so you understand this is for you first and foremost. But it will not just benefit you. Yes, it will benefit your ability to have this amazing relationship. It will benefit if you have kids. It will benefit how you engage with others around you. So be willing to embrace healing so that you can become more receptive, so that you can start exuding more of your feminine energy. The second feminine quality that men love in women is being positive and encouraging. All right? No, I would argue most men do not want to deal with a negative woman. And negativity does not convey femininity. Right. All right? And so you got to get to a better place. Now, what contributes to that? One little thing that helps is smiling more. So I know some of y'all probably already making a face because I'm telling you to smile more, right? And some of you don't like to be told that you need to smile more.
Hello, Kevin Samuels.
Understand that smiling is good for your soul, number one. But yes, it helps convey more positive energy and femininity. There was a study that was done that shows men find women more attractive when they smile. That's just the reality. And now some of you may be saying, well, men need to smile too. I'm not saying men shouldn't smile too. But the same study found that men who weren't smiling or smiling in their pictures actually were being found more attractive. Right. And the reason is because the non-smile conveyed more of this masculine energy. And the smile taps more into your feminine energy. Right. Now, please understand, we all have masculine and feminine energy in us. We all will have to tap into both sides at different times. But there is a dominant energy that each side has to walk in if they want to get certain results, and what I would argue are the best results in their life. All right. So yes, tapping into that positivity. And let me also say, in regards to the smiling becomes easy when you're at peace from within.
Oh, that's where I was going, Stefan. That's all I wanted to say, but I just did not want to keep stopping it because we're only 7 minutes in. Ladies, I remember when Kevin had the show, or the caller who said, but why do we have to smile? They haven't earned it. Sort of thing. And I really did a whole study of that. I just didn't bring it online. I was thinking to myself, why is there a problem with smiling? Okay, the thing is they associate, or these women associate, smiling as someone taking advantage of them, because they find that if they're smiling, their walls are not up. So that means they're constantly moving in a place or in a state of fear, paranoia. They can't just be. So that means, why can't they just be? Do they feel like they're an imposter? Do they feel like they lack qualities that maybe are deemed worthy? Are they dealing with some insecurities? So it all pointed back to just learning how to be. And in order to learn how to be, you have to heal. And what did I say healing was about? Being able to sit with your uncomfortable, big emotions, learn how to self-soothe, learn how to self-regulate, learn to look in the mirror, stare at yourself and say, hey, this was my responsibility. This is how I participated in my own suffering. Hello. And then attach it with some, back it up, like contain it with some healthy boundaries. So you can say, hey, be smiling, being at peace, being pleasant is not a bad thing. I should make sure that this is my default. With or without the man, just in life, this is my default. Okay, someone is bringing some shit on me. Okay, boundaries. How do I articulate in this moment where my emotions are being very heightened because they're triggering me? Okay, breathing exercises. That's how you start to self-soothe. Breathing. When the heart rate goes up, you take a very deep breath in to slow the heart rate down. So whilst your heart is pump, 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 this ties in with listening to understand rather than listening to respond. Boy, when someone says they're healed, do you know the amount of work that goes into it? It's not about soft life, sweetheart. Because when I'm triggered, my face, I remain very calm and placid on my face, my demeanor. But inside, my heart is beating and I'm working on my breathing. Because if I listen to my heart rate going up, what you're saying will constantly trigger me and I will explode. And then I have to apologize after. Don't want to do that. I want to maintain this relationship in a healthy way. So it's not you are triggering me. It's more of what you're saying has triggered something in me that may be unrelated to you, So try not to attack the person. So whilst they're doing that, you're breathing so that the blood can flow back into your brain so that you can really assess the situation for what it is. If you can't do all of that in that moment, that's when you have healthy boundaries. Obviously, now I can do it because I've had so much practice. But in the past, when I had to practice all these things, it was like, this is not a really good time for me. I just need a bit of space to just manage my emotions right now. Once I'm done, I will reach out to you again and then we can continue this conversation because I believe I'll be of more use at that time and it will be a more productive conversation. That's how I will articulate my boundaries in that moment. But if the person insisted that they needed to have that conversation right now, what I would say is, unfortunately, I will not be able to contribute healthily to this conversation. So I would really appreciate if we reconvened at another time. However, if you feel like we need to continue, please know that I have checked out. That's how I say it, and it doesn't mean I'm angry. I'm just letting you know that you want to just speak at me. Fine. This is one of the things I said to my ex-husband, actually, and people who try to trigger me at church and in just public settings. That's just how I communicate my boundary. That way I'm just at peace because I don't like it when my heart rate is going up. And to be fair, since being on this journey, hasn't gone up in a very long time. That's beautiful. Sometimes you check in with yourself, say, I don't have any worries. I don't have any burdens. Doesn't mean you don't have things going on, like you're going through so much, but at the same time, it's not crippling your soul. You don't feel overwhelmed by those emotions. Maybe because the minute it is triggered, you know how to compartmentalize it. Beautiful. Healing is so beautiful. Maybe we need to, I will be doing one-on-one soon because I like having one-on-one conversations so that I can actually give you, the wording to say to people or to yourself when those negative self-talk comes up. So yeah, it goes back to the smiling. Once you're able to do all of this and then rest in just being, accepting who you are, knowing you have flaws and all of that good stuff, when someone says smile, it's not even someone who will tell you to smile. You're pleasant, You know how many people that have, complimented me on my smile. I don't know them from nowhere. And I just smile to anyone and everyone, to be fair, because I just know, like, why not be pleasant? Why not be kind? It's like, what's the alternative? It was just never, a thingy for me. But I get that it can be difficult for other people because of all these other things that we've discussed. So yeah, I've gone on a tangent there, but hopefully something I said there will help.
Back to the healing again. And you're going to notice everything I mentioned on this list, at the root of it is you needing to heal if you're struggling in this area. But understand that, yes, smiling, being more positive with your words, with your attitude, with your overall energy is a feminine quality that men truly love in a woman.
And also, like, if you do have fears about something, if you do have doubts about something, learning how to make those requests. I always say, don't blame, make requests. That's how you have a long-standing relationship, marriage, union, If you have doubts about something or fears about something, learn to communicate it, because most of the time, your fear may be rooted in obviously the unknown, but once you gain clarity from the man, it will satisfy, your doubts. So sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot because we don't know how to communicate our needs and our wants and our fears. But then at the same time, we still want what we want. It's like we become this self-fulfilling prophecy, a breeding ground for just remaining stagnant. So yeah, if you're fearful of something, if you're, whatever it is that you're feeling, just learn to communicate that in a healthy way, just so that the person can also help you in managing those fears. When I said self-soothing and self-regulation, it's all about fear is an emotion, loneliness is an emotion. So at the core of it all is you want to feel needed or you want to feel wanted. So how do you communicate that? Sometimes I'm like, babe, I know my love languages is, one of them is physical touch, and it doesn't have to be sexual, non-sexual, and his is as well. So that helps. But even with that, sometimes I'm like, I want a forehead kiss, making requests, make requests, not, he hasn't kissed my forehead or he hasn't held my hand, but I don't want to say it because it's going to make me feel needed. But you need it. You need it in that moment. How's he going to read your mind to know that you want him to hold your hand? Maybe he thinks you want him to put your head on his shoulder or on his bosom. Just open your mouth and say these things. Anyway, I've gone on a tangent, but let's keep going.
Men are more drawn to in a woman. So now let's move on to number 3. And I think you're going to find number 3 a little interesting. Third one is knowing how to persuade, not dictate. Right? So here's the thing. Feminine energy at its core can be very seductive, very sly, very
delicate.
Very delicate
Yeah.
with the approach, because the feminine energy, again, knows how to persuade,
And that takes me to the main word that I keep saying, curiosity. When you're operating from a place of curiosity, your walls are down because you have already accepted that you don't know what you don't know, and you're trying to gain clarity to either affirm or dismantle what it is that you're feeling. Maybe it's fear or doubt or whatever. So if you approach something with curiosity, there's no way you can blame them because you're trying to listen to understand, gain clarity. So at the core of what he's saying is learn to be curious about things. That means you need to lose the judgmentalness. Is that even a word? Or drawing immediate conclusions on stuff. Learn to open your mouth and ask questions, make requests. That's how you become curious. Let's keep going.
How to get what they want out of people using more positive, softer energy. The person who dictates is, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, and they're telling you what to do. It's a harder energy that repels men, or more specifically, repels masculine men. Repels men who want a healthy, loving relationship with a woman. That's not what a man is drawn to. The same way, listen, you don't want someone who's dictating to you, all right? You want someone that, yes, can lead. You want someone who's strong, can make decisions, but not just telling you what to do, end of story, right? So why the hell would he want that? That's not what he wants. But as a woman, when you know how to use your feminine energy, you technically can still get what you want.
Yeah, you do.
Without having to be a dictator. Now listen.
Yeah, when you apply the curiosity in a flirty manner, no, just in a gentle manner, just be curious about the person you're with. When you ask questions without demanding things or dictating things, chances are their walls will be down. They will say more than, and if you're really operating from being a curious person, it's going to answer so many questions in your mind. And then you know what action plan to put in place to then flow, It's so beautiful.
Here's a simple example. Have you ever noticed a woman who uses terms of endearment with everyone? Everyone is baby, sweetheart, honey, right? When she talks to people. If you paid attention and watched her, do you ever see that woman having a hard time to get a man to do her a favor? No. She'll have a man washing her car, carrying her groceries, opening her door. Why? Because she knows how to talk to the men. She knows how to convey that persuasive, feminine, even seductive energy. And it doesn't have to be seductive in this
sexual way,
but seductive in a way that, again, it reels the men
in.
It kind of puts men in a trance.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, they'll do what you say. You know what I'm saying? So when you learn how to master that, men, whether knowingly or unknowingly, love that. Love that you know how to talk to me in a way that, yes, can still get me to see your side or still get me to embrace what you desire here without just trying to run me and tell me what to do. And I'm going to give you one quick example using myself. All right. I remember this was a long time ago. I had a friend, a woman friend, genuine friend, all right, platonic friend.
All right.
And, she would call me, and the first thing she would do when she calls me is she'll say, "What are you doing?"
Oh.
And my response would be, "None of your damn business." Every single time. Now, here's the thing. I did not have a problem telling a woman what I was doing, friend or no friend. My issue was how she was talking to me. You're talking to me like I'm your child. You're questioning me like I have to answer you right now. Whereas another woman can call me and say, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I'll give them the whole rundown of what I'm doing, what I did earlier, what I plan on doing later.
Yeah.
When you know how to talk to a man, it's easier for him to open up. He's more willing to open up.
Yeah.
But when you come across with that attacking energy, you will shut things down.
Yeah.
You will cause things to be thrown left. So be mindful of that. Learn how to persuade rather than dictate.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying relationship is a skill. Doing relationship right, and even in marriages, you're still relating to people. It's a skill, and there's an art to it. When you apply curiosity, chances are your walls are down because you're not operating, as I mentioned already, with your already preconceived. Your preconceived ideas of what you think it is. You're coming there open. It goes back to being open and receptive. You're open, applying curiosity, and you're ready to receive what you hear. And if it doesn't sit right with you, you're open to ask more questions to gain further clarity. That's how you persuade. And when a man sees that you're listening to understand and then flowing from there, that ties in being cooperative. That ties in with being cooperative, So sometimes when we hear, oh, they're cooperative, it's like, oh, servitude, oh, yes, master, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, it's about having that healthy dialogue and asking questions when things don't really, sit right with you. When a man says he wants you to be his peace, it's because he wants you to be a peaceful person and also want that. It's not saying, hey, let me box you in here, and then whatever I say, I want you to take that. And again, women, I've been on the other camp where a man did say, I want you to be my peace, because they knew I was a peaceful person. But the thing is, they were bringing the trash but wanted me to take it. Didn't have boundaries. So I thought I needed to take it because he said he wanted me to be his peace. So I was too consumed in being someone's peace, when in actual fact, it was an emotional manipulation. It doesn't mean you don't need to be at peace, okay? I want you to separate that, because when you're with a healthy person, you will still need those relationship skills. So that's when you have to learn boundaries. A lot of women, once they're hurt, they're like, okay, then the next person's not going to get any of this. But the thing is, if you're picking a good person, why can't they have the good parts of you as well? If anything, they're the ones that need it. So why not learn how to still be amazing, but with healthy boundaries? That's how my brain works, That's how I did my equation, and I got what I get. And I'm happy. I'm grateful. Very, very grateful.
That's going to go a long way with exuding a feminine quality that men are definitely drawn to. So now we're on number 4 and number 5.
Okay, it's nursery time. Oh my God, I can't believe we didn't finish it. Oh, shiny. Can you see me? Was it blurry? Anyway, I know this video has probably been all over the gaff. I thoroughly enjoyed Stefan and everything he was saying. I always say I'm going to record the second part. I'll do my best and post it. I think maybe at the core of it all, the reason why I don't tend to post the second part is because the first part usually doesn't do too well. But again, that isn't an excuse. I'm just letting you know the reasoning behind the 2 videos I said I'll do part 2, why they haven't come out yet. So the Breeny Lee one, I will not do the part 2. I haven't recorded it. But the Anthony O'Neill and RC Blake's, I did record the part 2, so it will come out. I thoroughly enjoyed this video, so I will definitely be doing a part 2. And it will come out, but it will come out in December, because this whole month, again, is for Bay. I've already recorded some content for that. So I'm excited, and I need to record some more. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, if you've learned something, let me know what you've learned down below. And I really do apologize that it has been so unstructured. But I think sometimes I just want to have a chat. I don't want to be using my brain too much. And I think it's because I've also got a very bad headache and migraine, because yesterday was a lot, at work, and then afterwards trying to edit and get things out, content out. I was looking at the screen too much, and now my head is pounding. So when it comes to that, I don't like to fire up my brain again. I just want to have a conversation. So I do apologize, because this video will be all over the gaff. But yeah. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. I'm struggling to open my eyes. Like the lights, my head. Oh. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. Come and join the family, and let's help build a generation of marriageable women. But yeah, until next time, take care and God bless. Bye-bye.